In 2026, the algorithm doesn't care if your song is good. It cares if your song actually has a home. What do I mean by that, though? If you're still posting, listen to my new song, and wondering why you're stuck at 200 views, it's because you're not data, you're noise at that point. Today, we're going to look at how to build a creative system that forces the AI-driven algorithm to find a home for your music. What's good, everybody? Appreciate y'all checking in with another video. As usual, it's me, Evan, aka 3Van, aka your man 3Van, back at it again with another video. We better break down some more music marketing for you today. Just gonna figure out how it is that you can get your music in front of your audience that isn't yet built. If you've been here before, welcome back to the deep end. If you're new here, welcome. Get ready to educate yourself on some music marketing. If things seem a little different, it's just because I'm sleep deprived and hoping this energy drink kicks in. But let me tell you what does give me energy. Today's subject: creating an algorithm-proof creative system. This video is going to be a whole lot of application, so make sure you watch until the end and take notes on all the different things that you can do to help develop your content strategy as an artist. We've all asked this question: how come a 15-second clip of a girl drinking coffee with a semi-half-baked fake intellectual quote in text on screen while a song plays gets 1 million views, and your high-budget music video gets 200? I know, as an artist, it's frustrating, believe me. It's not the quality, it's the contextual data. Today, we're gonna build an algorithm-proof creative system, a framework designed to turn your daily life into a metadata engine that forces the AI to find your fans. Most artists in our current era are treating social media like it's a billboard, this broad, static, look at me sort of messaging. However, the successful artists that are coming up nowadays are treating it like a GPS signal, something that is specific, something that is constant, something that says, this is where I belong. As we've talked about in the past, we need to break this misconception of I need to go viral to get fans. Virality is a poof and then you're gone, and whoever sticks, sticks. Consistent, sustained momentum. It feels a lot slower, it takes a lot longer, but it pays off in the long run. Virality without a bucket to lead people into is a death sentence. If the algorithm shows your video to the wrong million people, your save rate drops, and then the AI flags your account as low interest. You don't want the views, you want high intent data, you want stuff that actually converts. An example of this, not a musical example, is the Hawk Tuah girl. Can't believe I'm saying that as a message. She got big off of one non-contextual clip that literally has nothing to do with anything, and then started pushing out a bunch of content that doesn't even relate to what blew her up to begin with. If she focused on content using that catchphrase as the punchline, I guarantee you she probably would actually still have an audience today, instead of having a failed podcast, having a failed crypto scam, and probably soon to be failed OnlyFans venture. We can learn from that as artists. We actually need to get our stuff in front of people who it's gonna resonate with, that are gonna rally around our stuff, creating this high intent data that communicates to the algorithm that, hey, there's a demand for this, people want to see more of this, versus throwing it in front of a bunch of people who don't even care. You might be asking yourself, as we dive into this, why it's important to even bother building an algorithm-proof creative system. The fact of the matter is, it's needed, because general interest feeds are dead. Sure, it's a broad spectrum of content, but the fact of the matter is that most people are not resetting their For You page all the time. Their For You page has been curated, developed, and centered around a specific micro interest, a niche. The majority of TikTok accounts that are currently active are around 3 to 4 years old. And there's a good chance that a lot of those people are not resetting their For You page every month to be like, oh, I gotta get some new content. No, they like what they like, and they're seeing what they like. They're not really venturing too far outside of it. With that being said, we need to develop this micro interest content that's actually gonna get on the feeds of people who are obsessed with things. Surface level marketing is failing because it's way too broad. If you say I make indie pop, the AI has to compete with 10 million other indie pop tags. You need to start giving the AI algorithm visual and semantic anchors that are so specific that they can only belong to one microgenre, and force you into the algorithms of people who are solely interested in that topic and are more likely to become devoted fans of your art. We refer to this idea as context clues. The AI always sees your video before a human does. It recognizes shapes, colors, environments, texts, sounds. It's already trying to put your content into a bucket before you've even pressed schedule on your post. It's looking for things that are common to the buckets that you're trying to get your content put into. For example, if you're a bedroom pop artist, the AI is looking for messy sheets, warm lamp lighting, a specific MIDI controller. It's looking for all these things that we refer to as anchors, things to anchor your content to that niche. You must intentionally plant these anchors in every frame to confirm to the AI, yes, I belong in this bedroom pop bucket. Additionally, the algorithm is reading the words on the screen and the first 3 lines of your caption, which, by the way, speaks to why you need to be creating these fully fleshed out captions. It really helps with your keywords, it helps with your SEO, it helps the algorithm further categorize where your content falls in line and where it doesn't fall in line. Because of this, you really want to rely on a niche adjacent language instead of just hashtag new music, hashtag trending music, all that sort of stuff. Broad messaging. Instead of relying on broad messaging, you want to use phrases like for fans of artist X and aesthetic Y, further reinforcing what bucket of content, what bucket of hashtags, who your music is meant to resonate with and get in front of. Undergoing these steps is essentially you training the algorithm on how to sell you to other users' For You pages that have been so hyper niched and hyper focused and only consuming one or a couple niches. We've discussed in previous videos the importance of creating a strong asset pack, and doing this is about decoupling this creation from distribution. You want to have your asset pack folder of ambient realism, these 5-second clips of your car dashboard at night, your computer screen while mixing, or the view from your window or balcony. All these things that really fits into your niche. The music is the audio texture, but the asset pack that you're putting together is the visual context that the algorithm is reading, understanding, and figuring out where to put your content. You need at least 10 visual layers for every one song snippet. For example, if you just dropped your newest song, what this looks like in practice is before you've even dropped your song, you've identified the visual anchors that will force you into the bucket of the microgenre you're trying to feed into, and have created content, just short little 5-10 second clips that supports this, that anchors this, that keeps you in that bucket, that guarantees that you'll get on the For You pages of the fans that you're trying to attach yourself to. Once again, this also speaks to the importance of doing these one-day shoots, these very well-intentioned, well-directed, just days, hours of content shooting, spending 6 hours of just capturing your texture. You don't want to record yourself necessarily singing the whole time because everybody else is singing in their content promotion. It's broad messaging. We want to get away from broad messaging in this strategy. Record your hands on the guitar. Record the shadows on your wall. Record the meter on your DAW. Look at the visual anchors and cues that are associated with the microgenre you're trying to attach yourself to, and just scale a whole bunch of content related to this to guarantee that you could put on the For You pages of all these artists. And it helps when you're dealing with things like burnout throughout your week as well too. Instead of having to go out and be like, oh, I gotta shoot a bunch of content, but I'm not really motivated. I've had 3 energy drinks, but I'm still not feeling it. When you feel tired or uninspired on a Tuesday where you're supposed to release some content, you can simply just drag and drop a song snippet over your pre-recorded texture. Believe me, I do this all the time, and for somebody who struggles a lot with being motivated as an artist, it is a lifesaver because it's literally, oh, I have all these clips from my folder right here, and I can just drop them in as we do this. I'm actually going to show you guys what this looks like really quickly. On days when I have a lot of burnout, on days when I don't really feel like posting anything, to avoid missing a day of content, because you don't want to miss a day of content. First and foremost, you don't want to miss a day of content. You want to stay consistent. But again, it's hard to do that when you have life, you have a job, you have responsibilities, all that kind of stuff. It's difficult to do that, which is why it's so important to create these 50 clips of just textures that you can just find either online or yourself. Just having something to post in relation to your music is better than having nothing. And I'll give you a quick demonstration what that looks like. I have this folder here of all of my clips from my latest video on my crossover everything stuff. So you can see I go through clip, all this stuff. Like, I have like almost how many clips here? 25 clips. Literally, if I wanted to post for 25 days of just this content every day, I would be able to do that. And we can go up here. I have my unpromoted sound stuff as well too. I also have my stuff for my artist stuff. Like, I have all my aesthetic videos and stuff here as well too. I've got my my brain rot stuff here. I got my aesthetic stuff here. All of this for the purpose of not missing a day, being able to just sort of plug and play and not miss posting content, getting that data, seeing what's resonating, and feeding the For You page and the algorithm different things to help further categorize me in my music as an artist. By putting this method into practice, it frees you from having to be a creative for 7 days a week. You can focus on just being an architect for one day and the distributor of the content for the other 6. And let me tell you, it's a lot easier to just be a distributor than the person who has to make new content each and every day. That'll burn you out quicker than anything. So at this point, we know what we need to do as architects, but how do we further conceptualize what it is we need to capture before we can start just rolling out all this stuff throughout the week and putting this algorithm-proof strategy into practice? The first step that you can undertake is defining your bucket. If you were a folder on a computer, what would the label be? Not music. Think an overcast day in London or late night gaming sessions. Find your contextual label, because this will help you shape the vision of what your content needs to look like. And as always, consult what visual anchors are working within your microgenre as well too. Look at the bucket and see what's all in the bucket. See what defines what goes into that bucket. So when people have their hands out to say, give me something from the bucket, I want something from the bucket, when they reach in, they pull out something, and if it's something of yours, they're like, ah, look, this is exactly what I wanted. That's how you have to think about the way your content is being positioned. It needs to fit in with everything that's also in the bucket. Another thing that you can do is reflect on the content you've already posted. Put it through the mute test. Watch your last 3 videos on mute. If you can't tell what kind of world you live in within 3 seconds, your visual anchors aren't strong enough yet. You're confusing the AI, and a confused AI is not going to push content out to people who know what they want to see. The algorithm is in place on TikTok to keep people on the app. If people are confused, they're not going to stay on the app. They might just turn off their phone and go do something else in that time instead. And TikTok's not in the business of people turning off their phone. TikTok's in the business of keeping people on their phones. So you want to create content that has clear messaging that is going to keep people who are hyper-focused on that micro niche that you're trying to lock in with. It's going to keep people on their device. It's going to keep people glued to their device. Because people who are glued to their devices they're ultimately increasing the value of TikTok. You want to look at yourself as somebody whose content is increasing the value of TikTok. TikTok will look at you and say, ah, yes, my favorite creator. They keep people on this app very, very long. They like that. The third step that you can look to applying is the 70-30 mental processing rule. 70% of your content should be the context that you're trying to communicate, the world, the process, and the aesthetic of your surroundings. 30% should be the ask, the song, the stream, the link. At the end of the day, the context is going to be the thing that stands out in the first 3 seconds while your audio is muted, while there's nothing to communicate other than sight. You want to make sure that your context is strong enough to pull people into the ask. Because at the end of the day, people aren't really going to stop scrolling from the ask. People are going to stop scrolling from the context, the world, the process, and the aesthetic. They're going to see something and be like, ooh, I like this. I like this vibe. I can see myself in this vibe. And then once they're engaged with the context, then you can put the ask in front of them because they're curious and actually asking more context. They're asking what that world sounds like, asking where they can put themselves in that space of that world in the form of a song. And then this is where you can put the song title, the place where you can stream it, and the link to actually consume more of it. So with all of this theoretical put aside, how do we proceed as artists? Now that the theory's done and the data is clear, we're able to get tactical about this. And here's how you can build your algorithm-proof system starting from right after finishing this video. Step 1, the texture audit. We've discussed this a little bit in the past, but go through your camera roll. Move all your behind the scenes or vibe-oriented videos into a folder called Asset Pack 1. The goal of this is to build a library of at least 20 ugly clips that feel authentic and unproduced that you can start using for your distribution, unengaged rollout when you're not motivated. And even to flesh out fuller formed contextual videos for your viewers as well. The second step is you want to consult and build this metadata map. Write down 10 keywords that describe your micro niche architecture. These keywords must appear in your caption each and every time, or as on-screen text for your next 5 posts. No exceptions. Just commit to finding these really, really good sharp terms that is going to aggressively brand you and put you into that bucket. If you need a little help from ChatGPT, feel free to use that as well too. That's often a great resource to use, especially when trying to figure out and sift through micro niches and get to the root of what's actually working. The third step you can take to really bring this to life is the 48-hour narrative. For the next 48 hours, don't make any videos. Just record the process of being an artist. Set your phone up on a tripod, set your camera up on a tripod, and just capture all the boring parts. Opening your DAW, writing a bad lyric, drinking coffee, or in my case, I already threw out my energy drink can. These are the ambient realism anchors that 2026 audiences and algorithms crave, and honestly will reward you for. Great artists aren't just making music, they're building these systems that make their success inevitable. You need to stop being this creative and just start being an architect. Stop being a creative for 7 days a week and shift to being an architect for 1 day and a distributor for 6 days. Ask yourself this before clicking off of this video. What is the bucket that you want the algorithm to put you in? Comment that below and maybe we can all get you into the same buckets. And yeah, that's pretty much about all I gotta say for this video. Appreciate you giving it time. Hope all these strategies are helpful for you. This has been a pretty application heavy video, so feel free to come back and go through and see how you can apply this. Hope these tips are helpful as always. As artists, we're all in this together, and I hope that you'll come back for the next one to get some more tips on how to be a great artist and get your music in front of your audience. Peace out.